Well, it is a very exciting evening here on Edge of You. We have a very highly anticipated guest. Jerry is with us this evening, and we are stoked. If you notice, we're on a new night and at a new time. And Kat's going to give you a little more information about that. We like to keep you on your toes. But Jerry, we are so excited to have you this evening, and we can't wait to hear more about what's happening with you.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, before we get into the amazing part of the show, we do want to say that this is not our normal time, but no it's Thursday anymore. We've crunched some times, and we used actually some of Jerry's resources and found a time that is of least resistance to other Twitter chats and events. So we're going to do every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope to see you then. It was right after EdTech Chat. So participate at EdTech Chat and then come talk with us.
Well, also in news, you might notice we have a new logo. And if you watched our ISTE recap, you know that we are liking it, but perhaps thinking we might need something new. So if you're willing to try your hand in an EdgeView logo, we are calling all logo makers. Worry not, we will widely credit you for any work you do for the EdgeView logo. We might even bring you on the show and let you talk about all those great things you did to make our logo. So if you are one of those great logo makers, we need you.
And we wanted to say a very special thank you tonight to our producer, Jeff Bradbury of TeacherCast, for running our show. And he is our man behind the curtain. Do you see him there? Otherwise known as the great and powerful Jeff.
Yes, we don't see him, unfortunately. Well, you don't see him, but we see him. So if he makes us laugh, it's his fault.
Oh, okay, that's right. They don't see him, do they? Yeah, he's the man behind the curtain. That's right.
So let's officially welcome Jerry again, and thank you so much for coming on EdgeView to speak with us. So before we ask any kind of serious questions, we wanted you to tell us a brief what you do, where you do it, and where we can find you online.
Well, I consider myself a Twitterbrarian. I am trying to catalog the internet for busy teachers, students, parents, and anyone involved in education. And currently I am in Florida and loving it here. I am originally from New York with a stopover in Massachusetts and Maryland.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. So we're really excited because tonight we get to kind of span the decades with Jerry. So we know that you have a very rich history in education and lots and lots of stories to tell from that rich history. So let's go back a bit. So say like 1960s perhaps, and take us into what that looked like in the 1960s for someone like you.
Well, my hair was much longer. I had a mustache. What I really want to do tonight is do, as you're doing, a Twitter, not Twitter, but a tech timeline of my life. Take you through from the 60s to the present to the future. And a great tech tool that you should do, by the way, I have a timelines page, and I do have a Twitter timeline on TimeToast. Right now, if you printed it out, it's 27 pages long, but we want to go paperless. So I definitely suggest it's a great thing. I used to use this in the classroom when I taught social studies. Whatever we were studying, we started a timeline, and we did it on paper in those days. We went around the room with the timeline. So we followed, chronologically the order of what we were studying. Okay, 1967, before all y'all were born. I was taking a sociology course at the University of Pittsburgh. Hail to Pitt. Sorry, Mountaineers.
Mm-hmm.
And the professor had us write a term paper on the future. What we predicted in the future. So I decided to write about education in the future. Remember, this is 1967. I wrote a paper on teaching machines in the classroom. Well, let me tell you, when my professor read that paper, he made me get up in front of the class. He didn't do this for anyone else, and he wanted me to defend that paper. He was afraid that I was trying to get rid of the teacher in the classroom. I said, no, absolutely not. I said, in every class you have all different levels of students. You have some students who are not up to level, need remediation. With these teaching machines, they could catch up. Then you had the more advanced. You don't want to hold them back. Let them go as far as they wanted. And the teacher is there to help all the levels in the classroom. Okay, now we go on to the following year, 1968. Oh, that was a wonderful year for me. I was president of my dormitory house, and I was put on dormitory probation with about 16 other of us, because we tried to do something to the resident assistant. 2 of our members were kicked out of the dorm. By the way, those 2 later became medical doctors. The resident assistant is also a doctor, too. Anyway, getting back, 1968, I was walking around campus with my Mad primer. And people used to laugh at me, say, "Ha ha, Jerry, Mad Magazine, Alfred Newman." I said, "You wish." It was the Michigan Algorithmic Decoder. It was a program similar to Fortran. I was learning to program or code way back then, 1968. Those were the days when you programmed, you had to put the information on punch cards. You had to take your punch cards and bring them to the computer center, which was in the Cathedral of Learning on the beautiful University of Pittsburgh campus, Hail to Pitt, right? Mountaineer?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Anyway, you leave your cards there, you come back in about an hour or 2, and they would print out on a dot matrix on paper, you know, the tabs on the side and whatnot, you program. However, if you made one little mistake, your program did not print out. So it really taught me when I put in the hashtag or put in URLs now to be very careful when I enter the information. But that was the end of my tech career at the while. I didn't follow through on programming or anything else. And then it takes me back to the early 1980s. Aside from teaching, I was also writing for a company that sold materials to the utility industry. And it was very cumbersome writing on those antique machines called typewriters. Because every time you made a mistake, you had to put the corrected type in or the liquid paper and correct it. And I said to my wife, "Honey, I got to get a computer. This is crazy." I mean, we had a fax machine to send out the sheets because it was very expensive at the time to send out a fax at the local center cost $1.50, whereas, you know, if you had your own machine, it only cost 26 cents. Anyway, we got an Apple II computer, and I loved that computer. And I really got familiar with it. We formed a group in school. A couple of us had Apple II computers. We shared programs that we had, and it was great. And it wasn't until in fact, in the early 1980s, I got a modem for my Apple IIe. And it was Jerry and the techies on the message boards, because that's the only thing we had in those days. That's how we communicated. This is before the internet exploded. Then in the 1980s, computers started to appear in classes. We had one computer center, one room, one lab of Commodore computers. And I made sure that every holiday and every summer I took one home. So my own children grew up with computers, starting with the Commodores and the PET computers. Now, what my principal did, he came to me one day and said, "Jerry, you're very good with computers. And the computer teacher can only teach a certain number of periods a day, and the computer lab is empty. Would you take a couple computer classes into your program?" I said, "Sure." So in other words, we wanted to expose children to computers as much as we could. At the same time, I started in 1987. That's when I started teaching the computer classes. And then after 20 years in the classroom, my principal asked me to take over the library. And this takes me back to 1999. I brought my own computer into the library. Then I scrounged around and I found any loose computers in the school, and I used them in my computer, in my office in the library. So that was the first instance of having computers actually in the classroom, aside from being in the lab. What I did in 1999, I got together with my teenage son, and we found angelfire.com. At the time, it was completely free. The only time you saw your ads were in the editing stage of Angelfire. Later on, they charged for eliminating the ads from your site. So we created a website for our cat. Then I said, wait a minute. I said, I should create a library website on Angelfire. And that's how Cybrain educational website started. It started as a middle school library website in April 11th, 1999, so over 14 years ago. That's when I started accumulating sites. Because before I had that website, what I used to do is bookmark sites on a bookmark site online. But guess what? The site crashed. I lost everything I did. So that's when I went and started everything on my library website. Now, the library website, when it first started out, just basically had information about the school, how the school got its name. I had a PTA page, and just general information. One day, one of my colleagues came into the library, and he was in the 500s section and looking around, and I said, Tony, what do you need? He said, Jerry, I'm teaching a unit on earthquakes, plate tectonics. I wanted to see what materials you had in the library. So then I had my aha moment. I said, Tony, next time you have a free period, come back to the library. When he left, I quickly went to the computer and I started my first subject area page, Earth Science. So he came back, he said, Joey, this is great. I said, Tony, I had another aha moment. I said, tell you what, why don't we do a cooperative learning session on plate tectonics? Now, how many of you know the Juan de Fuca plate? I bet you don't. I know, because that's what we did. We did the whole thing. The library is a perfect place for this because the children use the atlases, they use the materials, they use the reference area, they use the computers, because at the time we started to have computers, to do research. And we had them do research on a plate, and we had them actually create a plate. Then I decided to make it easier for the students, I wanted a one-stop educational shopping experience for my students. So I started making pages in all subject areas, all grade levels. Now what I saw, I examined and looked through other library websites, and I noticed one thing: they never changed. They never were updated. They had all the science links in one place, they had all the English links in one place. I said, that is not going to work. I need to create a page for everything. So if students studying the American Revolution, there'd be an American Revolution page. If they're studying algebra, there should be an algebra page. And that's how my site grew. Okay, that's those here. Any questions in that era?
No, I think that covered it. Yeah.
I think, and the general consensus on Twitter is like, oh man, talk about flashback, Angel Fire.
Right. Still there. Still up.
I know. My first was a GeoCities back in the day.
Right, GeoCities. Then that closed. Right.
Oh yes.
A lot of people had their sites and they lost them.
I know. Worst thing ever. Well, I mean.
But I do have a page on developing websites if you're interested, and the ones that are free.
In case anybody, for people who are listening right now, can you give us the exact URL for your website? Because people are probably thinking, where can I see this plate tectonics information?
It's cybraryman.com. That's all you have to know. But you have to be able to spell Cybraryman. CYBRARYMAN.com.
Well, perfect. So if anybody is curious and wants to actually look and see what's going on there, it's an amazing collection. You can go visit and listen to us while you're perusing.
Now the thing, Kat, that I did was I have 4 portals.
Okay.
I have a portal for students. I have a portal for parents. I have a portal for educators, which is the one that most people use on Twitter. And I have a general portal. So and each portal page has a Google search for the site. Because people ask me, do you have a page on? Just go to the Google search for that site. It's easy to find. That's how I quickly find things myself. And even though I know where a lot of things are.
Well, essentially what you're doing is I guess the new buzzword now is curation, right? So my question for you is, you've explained why you do it, and it's been a great resource for teachers. But now we're trying to, encourage other people to kind of curate for themselves as well, as opposed to, having like 200, 300 bookmarks in your Chrome browser. Why should educators in particular try to curate, try to actually collect information for themselves?
It's not just for themselves, it's for their students as well.
There you go.
And you vetted the sites, because you have to teach your students how to evaluate, how to first of all search for something, how to find something, how to really decipher the information. Is it a good source and whatnot? We have to teach more of that. We're not doing enough of that. So you have to come to my Georgia ETC session on everyone, all hands on deck, detecting, evaluating, curating knowledge. It should be really information, but now it didn't fit my acronym.
No, I love that, and we're so happy to have you in Georgia. And
yes, we're very excited to have you at GAETC, Jerry. Thank you for coming. We're really excited.
So
but I hope you don't mind. I like to do Presdes. Most of it will be a presentation, but then about 10 minutes left, I'm going to take the microphone, I'm going to walk out into the audience, I'm going to answer any questions they have, and they can share. Because I learned so much from them. I don't know everything. But this is a chance for them to get involved. It's called a presentation discussion. Because a lot of times, teachers are there, don't get a chance to discuss things. This works in my classroom, this doesn't work. And I did that for the Midwest Educators Technology Conference, and it worked very well.
We were curious too, Jerry, what are some of your favorite sites? Why a website and not a social bookmarking site, such as Digio or Pinterest or something like that?
I just find it easier to find information the way I set up my website. It's much easier to find things, and it's all categorized, and you can go to social studies pages, there are all my social studies pages. And you go to that page. And I don't believe in top 10 or the best sites, because the best sites for one or top 10 for one may not be the top 10 for another. I try to put as many sites as I can that I find valuable. Let the teacher or the student pick out the sites that help them the most.
Well, I remember the first time I found your site. It was about 6 years ago, and it was like a religious experience because I mean, that was one thing I tried so hard to do in my building was to help teachers find resources. And when I first hit that first page and saw just the amazing amount of quality, there's so much out there that people just throw up for whatever reason, but the quality of what you curated for people was amazing. So just a little, I'm kind of awestruck.
Yeah, but what's helped me is my wonderful PLN. They supply some great sites for me, and you can't find all these things, and they're putting out this great. I can't keep up. There's so much, and it's it's great because they've looked at them, they've used them, they've checked them out. So it's it saves me the problem of doing that.
That's true.
And keeping up is the tough part. So you have your educators who are thinking about, even some students who are trying to keep up with stuff. First of all, when is too much? Is there such thing as too much? So when is too much too much?
Well, I have a serious condition called I'm a constant learner. And I can't stop. I can't turn it off. I always want to learn. I remember when people started talking about the flipped classroom, I said, what's the flipped classroom? So I said, So then I started investigating. Next thing I know, I have a page. And now what I'm trying to do is put mavens on each page. So I want a list of people you can turn to, you can follow. If you're really interested in games and education, for example, I met someone at ISTE and he told me that, he's an expert. I said, good, give me a list of right there at the time, I said, right here, give me a list of the people you think would help other people and they should follow on games and education. And he did. Now, if you go to my games and information page, it's right at the top. Same thing with class, same thing with librarians, same thing. The people I feel are good people to start following. I mean, there's so many of them. I've only gathered some.
Well, so if there's no such thing as too much is too much, if you miss information, I was having a discussion with some people earlier about Twitter, and they're scared to miss something. How can you kind of get over that feeling of being afraid to miss information?
24/7, that's all.
Don't sleep.
There are many ways. You can have a paper LI, what is it? I do that. I follow some people and I get their tweets because, like Steve Anderson, I love Web 2.0 Classroom, and he tweets out some great things, or Tom Whitby, people like that, my buddies on EdChat. But you can't follow everyone and you can't keep up with everything. It's impossible.
That's very true.
But what you should do is focus on the hashtags that apply to what you're interested in, what you're teaching, because that's where you can get a great deal of information. I mean, if you're a social studies teacher, SS chat. English teacher, English chat. That's what I feel. Just focus in on that hashtag, and you will get a stream of great information.
And you have a page for that too.
Page for everything, just about.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I also have a page of my kitchen. I have a picture of my kitchen sink on my cooking and recipes page.
Oh, I gotta go look that up right now.
By the way, I have barbecue things there too for you.
Oh.
That's in my general. See, I have a general portal. That's where I put some of those pages.
Okay, well, the real question is, you do so much curating. Have you ever deleted anything?
Sure. Unfortunately, it's very hard to keep up with sites that, drop out or change and whatnot. Yes, I do. I do a takeoff thing. I try to take away the older information. I try to keep I did that today on my Web 2.0 page. I went through it and that's what you do as a librarian when I use in the library. You have to do that periodically. You have to eliminate certain information that it's not, up to date, current.
Yeah.
So what percentage would you say of the things that you have curated over time has at some point either stopped producing or just become out of date? What percentage of that do you think over time?
It's very hard to give an actual percentage.
Well, I'm going to need the actual percentage, Jerry. Like,
I can't even figure out that. I don't even think. I'm too busy doing this to worry about. People ask how many pages. I have no idea how many pages.
So
I don't care how many pages I have. I don't care how many links I have. So the statistics, that's not important to me. It's providing information that's current, that's relevant, is the most important thing to me.
Do you have a page on West Virginia University?
No, thank you. No, I don't. Last time I was there, I told you what happened. Running cross country, someone fired shots at us. It wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah.
Fastest I ever ran.
We have musket.
Bottles at us, too.
They carry a musket.
That's right.
It's what you get for being from Pitt.
I know, sorry. We're the city slickers, I know.
Meanwhile, the rest of us who enjoy the SEC are going to sit here and pull our thumbs.
I know. I'm thinking, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know.
Well, Jerry and I have established at ISTE that we had a little rivalry going on because he was from Pitt, I'm from West Virginia, and so big WVU fan. And it just turns out that West Virginia University was one step away from a national championship a few years ago, and the game that lost them that opportunity to go was a game in which they played a losing Pitt, a Pitt that had hardly won any games all season. So when Jerry and I got into the
I was going to say, he's picking something up.
Oh, no.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerry, that was the year before I was born.
See, I told you.
So it's good. We had to have something to bat about. We used, and West Virginia and Pittsburgh used to play what was called the Backyard Brawl, and it was like every year it was the game of the year, which was our rivalry game. And we don't play each other anymore, so.
That's sad, really is.
It is.
You guys will have to come down to the largest cocktail party in the South.
There we go.
Some Jacksonville for some UGA action.
Yeah.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Probably.
So, Jerry.
Get back on track.
I'm sorry. I like to be on task. As someone who's really interested in emergent trends in education and games-based learning, and from your extensive, I want to kind of touch on your extensive knowledge here and your own opinion on something. What do you think about some of the so-called future trends in education, such as augmented reality, which has seen a huge boom in Twitter recently?
Yeah, all of a sudden. I mean, I had a page on augmented reality a long time ago, and it was nobody ever touched it. Now, all of a sudden, it's becoming, very popular. It's trending.
It's huge, and all because of really Erasmus, which is this that app, the one app that really everybody can use.
Well, I also feel, right now, hopefully, we're going to have more students coding and programming. And I think that's an important issue. That's also a trending topic, and it should be. Everyone can code, everyone can program. And I'm sorry I stopped in, 1968. But at least I had a taste of it. And, by the way, that was a very interesting class. Here we are programming and whatnot, and we never saw a computer.
Oh my gosh!
You decided that.
I can't either. So
they were kept in these air-conditioned rooms. They were big machines. And
sure, they were huge mainframes.
Never saw a computer. Here we are learning how to program.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, just hit your page for programming, coding literacy.
So
all the whole literacies, the digital literacies, have sprung up now. There's so many, associated with that. I'm doing a session on literacies at GETC. Literacy from all angles, I call it.
So, as a Twitterarian, do you enjoy keeping up with the new trends? Do you find
I definitely do. It gives me, a big trend I feel would be blended learning. Blended learning. My daughter, in fact, just started teaching a hybrid class on the college level on public administration. And she was shocked when she had her college students, and they're not freshmen or anything, do research. They didn't know how to do a research report. That's another thing I'm going to cover at Georgia. I'm going to do one on Eureka research at GETC.
I saw your language fiction on that. Yeah, that looks really good. Like we need to put you in a really big room.
Because I think we're not doing enough, and it should be started early on. With the even in elementary school, teach them how to do research and citing sources, etc.
Oh, thank you so much. You just made my evening.
My daughter was amazed. Chad, I can't believe this. I know. See, I'm trying to give sessions from a teacher's perspective, what teachers really need. The curating, the research skills, literacies, etc. And of course, building PLNs. I think that's crucial.
Oh, I totally agree. I think that is something that teachers really need to see the benefit in. And so often they don't. They get overwhelmed by it.
And I'm doing one on connected educators rule the world.
Oh, I like it.
Because I strongly believe we all should be connected. It's extremely important in this day and age. And I've just, I think it's a level playing field now. It's just wonderful to connect with people. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, one night someone tweeted out, it was Marissa, I can't pronounce her second name, sorry, she's in Greece. She said, would anyone like to join me on a Google Hangout? I want to learn how to use a Google Hangout. I said, wow, I never did a Google Hangout. So let me join. So next thing I know, I'm there with Marissa in Greece, I'm in Florida, someone from Peru joined us, someone from Australia joined us, and the four of us are learning how to use a Google Hangout together. How wonderful is that? And I don't think, by the way, another trend that we must do, there's several things that I feel we have to do. We have to connect the different levels of education. The elementary should be talking to the middle. The only time they talk is at the transition point, end of the year, we're sending kids to you. We should be doing this constantly. We should be having the high school kids teaching middle school kids or the elementary kids, etc. And having an exchange, and the colleges. Bring into the colleges. You know what happens at every level. What do they teach down there? What are they doing down there? How about discussing what you want them to, how to prepare them and work with them rather than criticize them? And we're not connecting students enough with experts outside the classroom walls.
That's so true.
We have to build a network of people that can come in to schools and help the kids. Now, Adam Taylor, I don't know if you 2-foot giraffe.
Oh, yes.
What he started, I think, is wonderful. He has a student chat that connects the student. I think it's once a month. He has the students connect with scientists. He has scientists on there. He has teachers, and he has students. That's great. And they discuss different topics each month.
I do have to say, as a shout out to where I work, that's one of the big tenets of. I work at a private school currently in Atlanta, and they are really pushing all of us to bring in external experts. Somebody who's probably watching right now, Trey Bowden, does it so frequently. He's brought in people from Google to talk to his kids. He teaches like media and society and digital skills. So he's really trying to bring in that external aspect, and I think it's so important. And it's difficult to do in a public setting when you have 150 kids, but totally feasible. Totally feasible.
Okay, I need your help.
Sure.
I'm trying to Skype or Google Hangout into classrooms in all 50 states. Okay, what I did when I wrote for this utility company, I was in charge of a whole project, and I did a book called The Energy Kids. And what I decided to do is to create a workshop presentation on how I wrote the book, because I'm using the same writing techniques that the students have to when the teacher gives them a report. They have to find the information, they have to organize the information, they have to write their first draft, they have to do the revisions, etc. So what I did is I created a presentation. So far I've done this in 21 states, either in person or via Skype and Google Hangouts. Now, it's interesting because one time I went into a class, I tweeted out that I had a great experience because I love going in and doing this in schools because it brings me back into the classroom. And I said I had a wonderful experience. I tweeted it out. Someone in California said, Jerry, that's wonderful, but I wish you can come into my class. Now, as I told you before, I don't sleep. That night I'm tossing and turning and say, there must be some way I can do this. Where I can do this Skype or some other way. But how do I do it? So what do? I tweet this problem out. And who do I connect with? Shell Terrell. Shelley, I love her.
Love her.
She's wonderful. Now, I set up an appointment with her to Skype with her. She was in Germany at the time in her pajamas. And she's saying, I explained what I did. She said, Jerry, that's easy. I said, easy for you, but not easy for me. She said, Jerry, upload your presentation into a Mixbook. I never heard of Mixbook before. So I did that. And it's free to do that part. And that's how I do it now. I can Skype into a classroom. The teacher puts on the Mixbook onto the screen and whatnot, or use Google Hangout. By the way, I love Google Hangouts. I think they're wonderful. Anyway, and that's what I do now. That's how I present. I've done this in Australia. I've done this in Honduras. I've done it in Canada. Now I can be everywhere. So I need my other states. I got to fill in all 50 states.
Do you have a page for this?
Oh, sure I do. It's on my authors page. You'll find it there on my Skype page and Google Hangout page.
So we can see maybe what states are left, and if anybody's out there.
Yeah, it's on my authors page. I have a map of the. By the way, it's a great site that you can produce your own map for the states you've been in or things like that, and that's what I do. And there's a link on how to do that for
awesome.
If you want to make your own map of the states you've been in, or when you're teaching a class and you discuss different things in history, you can just show them on a map where it's located and what you've covered.
So if anybody's listening right now, go explore the site, go find this page, and see if your state, the author's page, and see if Jerry has not been to your state yet, and then tweet him.
That's intense. That's really intense.
I think it's awesome. No. I think it's great. I have a friend who's trying to run a marathon in every 50 in each state. So I think that's actually a really amazing goal. Imagine if more teachers actually had that goal.
To my track and field page. I have marathon, half marathon training tips.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh yeah, hey, by the way, I'm Cool Cat Teacher's motivational coach. She's my buddy. Vicki and I keep her going. She's talk about someone to follow. Cool Cat Teacher. Flat classroom.
Yeah, she's good.
Vicki is amazing. All right.
One of the first people, by the way, I followed on Twitter. It
was she really?
Cool Cat Teacher, Web 2.0 Classroom, Tom Whitby, Shell Terrell. Those were my first follows.
See, I think you're actually one of my first people that I followed.
Because I lurked, by the way.
Me too.
You can get in trouble lurking, by the way. You can get in real trouble. You know what I lurked on when it first started? EdChat.
Oh, no.
Look at me now. One of the moderators. Scary. So be careful what you do.
They'll rope you in, won't they, Jerry?
Now, I want to discuss now, a little bit about now. In fact, at ISTE, I met Matt Wallard. I don't know if you ever heard of him. One of my Twitter PLN followers connected me with him. He's a very interesting young man. He started a site, and he runs a very interesting project it's for women, called GetRaised.com, RAISED. Because, as we all know, women are not paid the way they should be. And he has a tool that he has created to help women design letters and ways that they can give their bosses and try to get the raise that they really deserve. He's also involved with Bing for Schools, so I've started working with them because they're starting a free search engine that's Common Core aligned, and it has digital literacy plans that can be embedded into it. So they want schools to sign up for it. I think that's a great idea. I mean, they're great search engines, and this is one that should be followed. By the way, I have a search engine page that lists other ones as well. There are a lot of great ones that have been vetted, especially for kids. Kids search engines. Very important that they search not just on Google. See, the problem is everyone's searching on Google and not using sites that have been vetted and then the information is checked out. So we have to basically show our students there are great search engine sites that you should be using.
Well, speaking of things in the classroom, and going from somebody who's currently a classroom teacher, how would you make curating, being a digital librarian, a classroom assignment? And so how would that be done, and what might it look like?
Very simply, you have the children do it. You teach them how to do this originally. You teach them about, looking at the URLs, examining it, and using the right search engines, the kids' search engines, and whatnot, and have them start doing it. Learning by doing, I think, is a great thing, and students should be involved in this, not just the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So would you recommend maybe a school even hosting a web resource like this?
Definitely.
That's a really good idea.
Very good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Show the students how to do it, then set them free, let them explore, let them check it out, and then just, go over what they found. Help them.
So how do you feel about schools that lock down the internet?
Oh, that's tough. You know who one of my heroes is? My good buddy, Eric Sheninger.
Mm-hmm.
Eric at first was against social media. And I remember back in the days when he was kind of skeptical about it. Because I've known him since I met him the first time in 2010, I think it was. And he's a champion now. Mm-hmm. And we need more champions. I think it's great that we have so many administrators involved on Twitter now. Especially the SAT chats are wonderful. They're there to learn, they're there to share, and they try out things, and they become champions, and they spread the word. That's what we need. We need the administrators more involved in this.
Do you have a page for administrators?
Several. I have an administrators page. I have an administrators and tech page.
Oh, there you go. That's
I also have a page, Summer School for Administrators. All the things that they should be doing in the summer that I suggest that they do. Yes, Kid Blogs. Thank you, Jeff. We've got the great creators of Kid Blogs, and it's wonderful when you go to ISTE because you sit down with the developers of people like Kid Blogs, and they're there to learn. They ask questions of teachers and people in the profession. How can we improve it? I gave them some ideas because I want them to take a step further in what they're doing. In fact, I suggested on the blogs, have an easy way for a child to read that blog. So when they go back, because the blog should be a portfolio and should be carried through that student's whole educational career. And can you imagine them looking back, not only reading but listening to what they blogged at the same time, and creating a timeline. Also suggested keep a timeline of this. Add that as another feature. Because blogging is great. My famous expression is, blogging allows even the quietest student to have a global voice.
Mm-hmm. I love that quote. So true.
Somebody's going to quickly type that and get that on Twitter.
I know.
It's not going to be me. It's going to be you, but it's coming.
It's going to be Nikki Robertson.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have to give Nikki a shout out.
Wonderful. Oh, she's outstanding. Met her, follow her. She's one of my definite library people you have to follow.
Oh, she is a must follow for sure. So yeah, and what I'm excited about is, as we've said, I know Hoke's watching, because he's already given me grief via Twitter. But so we've talked a little bit about GAETC, and we're very excited to have you there. And so I happen to know who's in charge of social media for GAETC. So I'm going to have to be bunking in on your sessions and just seeing how fast I can tweet out all the things that you say. Because I think there are just so many little nuggets of wisdom there that it just comes out and just flows. And so I'm really excited to just pop in on those sessions that you're doing.
I'm trying to give vignettes from my own teaching experience. In fact, I just came up with a great start for one of my sessions too today on research. Comes from what I did myself.
So speaking of research, maybe this is because I'm in the middle of this painful literature review right now for my doctoral work. How often do you include scholarly sources? Because I'm thinking how amazing it would be for people, teachers, K-12 teachers, to be able to read sources that are supposedly peer-reviewed, even though half of them are behind paywalls.
Well, I guess, Kat, you've never seen my journal page.
No, I have not.
I try to keep a listing of journals. I have to update a lot of these pages, but I do have a page on journals. And that's where you'd find a lot of great information, sites to find educational journals in different subject areas. That's
just incredible. I'm going to have to share this with my cohort now. And that makes it so much easier. All these people who are struggling to research and even I'm thinking of my colleagues here who don't actually access, all the scholarly articles, and this makes it a little more accessible.
Mm-hmm. But I start with educational journals. That's what I used to do when I did my own research.
I'm totally looking at your page right now.
I have to update it. That's the only problem. Any questions out there from Twitter that you want me to answer?
I've been watching. People are singing your praises.
Yes.
They're not asking questions.
It scares
how
me.
amazing you are.
I don't consider myself a rock star. I'm just a common, happy guy who's just trying to help everyone. And I don't like the fact that people say, "Wow, they're afraid to come up to talk to me." I says, "What's the matter?" I'm a hugger, by the way. Sorry. Someone from Australia said, "Oh, you Americans like to hug."
He does.
Someone said they're afraid to come up to me and talk to me. And then someone said to me at an ed camp, says, "Jerry, are you a hugger?" I said, "Sure, yeah." Don't be afraid to come up, speak to us.
It might be the accent, Jerry. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the Brooklyn accent. Sorry.
It doesn't count anymore.
I've been in the house this long and not lost that accent.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. It's a beautiful thing. Although I don't think it counts anymore because you do live in Florida, so
yeah,
you're technically a Southerner at this point.
Well, Florida is just an annex of New York, by the way. So
there should be a page for Florida. You probably do have a page for Florida.
I have Florida sports, Florida education.
Oh my gosh!
I was going to ask
Florida
you
sightseeing.
what is your favorite page?
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't have a favorite page. It's like your top 10. I don't have a favorite page.
You don't have one?
My favorite pages. And I
love your...
And by the way, I'm a little behind thing. I have to get all of you on my PLN Stars page. I have to update that. I don't have time for everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love your parent pages too. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I know that's something that's really important in my district, is that we start educating parents about, social media and educational technology, and your parent pages are great.
What we need to do in schools is actually bring the parents in, do workshops, hands-on workshops. Show the parents this is what we're doing with your children. So they get an understanding, and they do it themselves, and they have a buy-in at that point.
True. We had one school who did a brown bag lunch in that respect, and brought the parents in and then had lunch. And
better yet, have the students come into the session, help the parents in the session, and show them. And also have the students have a smackdown with the parents.
Oh, I love that idea.
Which is a sharing. It's a, sharing blitz. And also have the parents share. Have everyone share at the session. Mm-hmm. That's where I learned so much that way. Mm-hmm. By the way, I have to have a shout out to my wife. She taught me how to communicate. Oh, she was a parent facilitator. She helped form a parent center in our school district, which every school district should have. She was trained by personnel in the school how to be a parent facilitator. It takes a lot of training. And all teachers should be facilitators, by the way, but we're not trained to be facilitators. And I think that's one thing that's missing. A lot of things are missing in teacher education. That's one thing that we should be trained at. Because you're right, parents are essential. We have to get them on our side. We have to get their backing. We have to show them what we're doing is correct and whatnot. And have them. Digital citizenship is crucial. Digital footprints. We're not doing enough about that.
No, we're not. And
at all levels, all grade levels.
Mm-hmm.
One more bandwagon I have. There's another thing I started out writing career education curriculum. Mm-hmm. We're not doing enough. After the kindergarten or first grade, when you do community helpers, that's it. Every subject area teacher, every grade level teacher should show students possible careers in whatever they're teaching. For example, even if you're teaching math and you said to the kids, you like sports. Oh, I love sports. Hey, you could be a sports statistician. Things like that. Let them know that all the possibilities out there. So they have an idea and they can start, doing their own research.
Right, exactly.
Well, I heard through the grapevine, when I say grapevine, I mean Tech Educator Podcast, that you might have some news on the horizon coming up about something new coming your way.
Oh, well, thanks to Jeff, my good buddy there. He got me up with AppShed, and we're creating a Cyberman app.
Excellent.
Because a lot of people said, how come you don't have an app? Okay, well, we're working on it. It's in
That's
the process.
exciting.
I got to thank
very exciting.
Cass for that one. He got me connected with him at ISTE.
He's
A
a
lot
good
of
fellow at
startups and
that.
whatnot, and AppShed was great.
So what should we expect on this app?
Well, that's something that you'll have to just wait for. 'Cause I don't know myself. I mean, I'm not that techie who can do this and something like that, and it is a massive undertaking. So we
Right.
just have to see how it develops.
Okay, I'm excited. Well, so you having like an anticipated drop day? Because, I mean, we're going to need to be the first to know. Not those
That
Tech
I can't
Educator
say.
podcast
Hopefully,
fellows. They can't be the first to drop that.
I don't know. Well, just say in the near future. How's that?
We got to shift your loyalties.
Any chance that it might happen during pre-planning for teachers?
It might.
Did we lose Kat?
Pre-planning
Yes.
is quick now. A lot of teachers are going back in August.
Yes, they are. They're
Right.
coming- oh, yeah.
Another thing I try to do on my teachers portal, my educators portal, I try to put up sites that are current and help teachers plan for the next month. In fact, I have to get ready for my August. Obviously, it's back to school. I've started, but then I put up the September sites, and September I put up the October sites, so teachers can plan ahead with holidays and other important things. Because teachers don't have time. I really feel for the teacher of today, because of the unfortunately the test environment that they're associated with. They can't do all the things that they want to do. They don't have time to do it either. So I'm trying to help them in this respect.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I couldn't agree more. I like how you have that on your teacher site where you have it, featured sites and planning ahead, that whole gray box, so that they can do just that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one thing I mentioned. When you look at other sites, they never change websites. They're static.
No.
I said, no. But that's one page that I constantly update.
Mm-hmm. So that's good for you teachers out there to know. That educators page, he constantly updates. So that's
for September, I put Labor Day and, the holidays, etc. So each month you can look ahead and you'll see. You can plan ahead.
wonderful.
So, speaking of helpful,
And then your student pages too, Jerry. I just can't say enough. I know when I was in a computer lab setting with students, I would take them here and let some of them just drill down and find all kinds of wonderful things and get really excited and talk about engagement. That was my free choice day. A lot of times was just your Cyberyman student page, so they could kind of drill down and find what they were interested in.
So I wanted students to have the help to find one place where they can go and find all the information.
Mm-hmm.
When you search for something on Google, it's crazy all the things you can pull up, and a lot of things are not what you really want.
I agree. The art page always seemed to be a big hit.
Yeah, the comics and animations. I got to put that on a separate page. I'm thinking about that because there's so many different great apps and great sites that they can go to create things. And that's what you want them to do. You want them to be the creators. You want them to be more student-centered learning. I think that's important. And that's a great story. I had this wild class. Nobody can control this class. They were crazy. They were 8th graders. I was teaching them social studies, and I decided I thought learning about the current events was so important. That I just said, one night I was watching the news. I said, boy, why don't I have my kids make their own news show? So I created a news show, and I said to the kids, I came in the next day, I said, hey, listen, for this news show, not only are we going to need news reporters, we're going to need someone for entertainment, someone for sports, someone for weather. I said, really? I said, yeah, then we'll switch the jobs around. Well, the weather person went crazy. He thought that was the greatest thing ever. In fact, one day he literally pushed me aside and said, I want to take over the show. Now, I even had a news producer come into the classroom, and he had a great slideshow of how they produce the news. He even invited us to their studio. So the weather person just pushed me aside, and he did something I never thought of. He had the kids show this newscast to teachers at lunchtime. I thought that was great. He took it out of the classroom and he took it into the lunchroom so the teachers could see what they were doing. And a couple of years later, my wife can testify, we were walking in Midtown Manhattan, and all of a sudden, Mr. Blumengarten, and there's Wesley Perkins running up to me, and he had an NBC jacket on, my former weather person. He got a job with the news as a result.
Wow.
And that's just, and this crazy class loved me, and the other teachers, they couldn't control them. It's just, and the fact that they pushed me aside, I thought that was great. This goes back to the,
sure.
80s, 1980s.
I was going to ask you when that was.
Yeah. I mean,
in the 80s.
He literally nudged me aside. I want to take over. Go ahead, Leslie. Take it over. And he did.
That's
so like the flipped classroom. We've always done the flipped classroom, but now you can do the podcast and video cast. You always had your kids read something and you discuss it. Same thing. Now they've done with technology.
That's a good perspective.
It is a great perspective. Do you have a tool that you prefer for flipped classroom? I know you're not big on talking about top tools, but...
Well, Camtasia.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is it? TechSmith, they do great work. Stacy Roshan, she's great. She's wonderful. Go to my flipped class, you'll see the people to follow. You know, John Bergman, Chemical Sam's, and whatnot, and people like that. I don't know everything, but hey, I'll send you to these people. People always say, they think I know everything. I don't know everything, but I try to Twitter matchmake with people who can help you.
I'm tweeting that out right
Stacey
now.
I was going to say, she was a math teacher. I don't know if you know Stacy Roshan. She's Buddy XXOO or something like that on Twitter. When she first came on, what I do when someone follows me, I look at their bio. And what I do, I send them a direct message with sites that will help them or chats. For example, if they're a techie person, I send them to EdTech Chat. And I send them my tech pages because I want them to, you know, that's why it's important when you do sign up for Twitter to look at your bio and put down what you're interested in. You can keep it private. You don't have to say where you're from and whatnot, but what subjects, what grade levels. It helps me because that's the first thing. And so many people have thanked me for doing that, welcoming them. But I welcome them, and I try to put, if they're 5th grade, I put 5th chat. 4th chat. That's a great chat. It's my favorite chat because I work with them every Sunday night. We have a Google Hangout. There are about 6 or 7 of us. You know, Paula Norgo from Louisiana. I mean, we have Kim Powell from Michigan, Jessica from Pennsylvania, and Nancy from Massachusetts, and Bill from New Jersey. But every Sunday we get together. But our ISTE proposal was shot down this year. Hopefully we'll get it up for next year. Because what we do in this 4th chat group is we try to have a project for each month.
And that's for 4th grade teachers, correct?
Yeah, right. But it's a 4th chat group that's formed together. But every Sunday night we chat together. Look on my Google Hangout page. You'll see our pictures up there.
Awesome.
So as a librarian, well, first as an educator, I'm sure you have opinions in regards to certain things.
We lost Kat. I'm very sad. I'm not sure what happened to her.
Kate, can you not see Kat?
I can see her picture. Is she there?
Yes, she's here.
Oh, good.
Okay, what's my opinion?
Sorry, Kat.
Okay, sorry. I don't think she can hear me. Anyway, sorry. We have some storms in the area. Welcome to Georgia. I
have a thunderstorm page.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Electrical safety, too.
That's what we need that here. So yes, on things like you talked about standardized testing. You talked about. Well, you didn't talk about.
I'm just checking Twitter again to see if we have any more questions.
Hold on.
Don't get me started on standardized testing.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask.
It's getting carried away. There's too many tests and whatnot, and teachers are just—it's crazy. We're teaching to test. We're not teaching what we should be teaching and allowing students to explore and follow their passions. I'm a big believer in Genius Hour. I'm a big believer in passion-based learning. Shout out to my good buddy Angela Myers. I think she's doing a great job with that, promoting all this.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think most people, at least connected educators, would agree with you on that. Is it difficult for you to be unbiased in your collection of information?
I try to be unbiased. And what's great about these chats is people are giving me opinions that I didn't think of, because I don't know everything. I think it's great that people have different opinions. When I wrote my activity books, I used to have a panel of teachers, like 10 teachers, look over my writing. And there was always one who didn't like something. And at first I said, what's wrong with this person? 9 other teachers love it, and this person doesn't. Then when I really looked at what that person said, I said, you know, they have a good point. And we have to be open to that, to different opinions. And think about what people say. We have to listen. See, that's what we're not doing enough of. I have a listening page, by the way. But we should be good listeners and allow people to exchange ideas that are foreign to us, but we never thought of. So I try not to be biased.
And that's really difficult to do, especially when you feel strongly about something. So, but that's a very appreciate. I have some friends who are fans of, the PARCC testing coming out and of Common Core. So
I mean, there are good things in them, but I think we're testing these kids too much, and we're going to spend most of the year on testing, especially on the PARCC and whatnot.
Yes.
I'm glad there is a backlash now.
Yes.
Scary.
From Twitter, just so you know, Peggy Drolette, Peggy, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. She says, I was so impressed when Jerry welcomed me to Twitter and he tweeted his math page. Please thank him. So Peggy says, thank you, Jerry. You don't know how many people you reach with what you do.
Yeah, I know. It was amazing. It is. All the people came up to me to thank me. I was just overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. You know what happens? People helped me when I first started teaching, and I'll never forget those other 3 teachers, a math teacher, an English teacher, and a social studies teacher. They helped me. This is way before the internet and whatnot. Because, you start, your first PLN is actually your colleagues and whatnot. But I think teachers now get more support on Twitter than they do in their own schools.
I do.
Where was Twitter when I taught? Unfortunately, I wasn't there.
But now you make up for that.
That's right.
So another question is, I saw you at an event at ISTE, EdTech Karaoke, and you were dressed to impress and toting some instruments. So what was your night like there, Jerry?
Well, people saw me last year with my cape and said, you got to wear your cape, Jerry. So it was a perfect opportunity to put my cape on again. And I thought I couldn't sing. I had laryngitis, even though if I could sing, it wouldn't be too good either. So I said, I'll bring my blow-up guitar, and I had a great time.
I actually have a picture of that.
Oh,
it's a good one, too.
I got up with Kevin Honeycutt and his band, too. Kevin is great.
Oh, Kevin is amazing.
He gave an amazing presentation, a keynote here in Palm Beach County that I went to. But he came off the stage, and he said, Jerry, I have to get my picture with you. I said, what? I should have my picture with you. So my superintendent loves me. His superintendent did track me down at ISTE, and he got his picture with me. He said, I have to have my picture with you, too. Okay.
How many people wanted to have a picture with you at ISTE?
A lot of people did. Good thing I got a haircut before.
I saw one picture of you, and you're like laying down.
Oh, that
on
was
the
with Peggy
floor.
George. I was having fun with her.
That was
In fact,
awesome.
at Hacked Ed, by the way, I strongly urge everyone, if they go to ISTE, come early. Come the day before. Go to Hacked Ed. Hopefully they'll call it Hacked Ed again. We keep changing every year the name. But it's a great way because it was discussions. And we had all different people. Kevin was there. Adam Bello came in. So you had all these different teachers actually discussing things. And I think that's the beauty. A lot of times you go to presentations and you just hear one the presenter. But here you have people discussing from all angles, from all viewpoints. And that was wonderful.
Well, we are closing in on the 10 o'clock hour. This hour has flown by. We have learned so much about you, Jerry, and we are so excited that we could give you this platform to talk about that. I don't know how many people know that story, and so we're excited that you were able to share where it all started with you being a genius from the 60s to where you are today with ready to put out an app. And for anybody who's been watching Jerry and I, this is like our third hangout this week. Jerry and I have become regulars, and so we just hang out all the time.
Hey, I love hanging out with all of you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank TeacherCast.
Yes, absolutely. We absolutely have to thank Jeff. Without Jeff, tonight would not have happened. Jeff bails us out always when we need help and when we fall, and he's great to give us advice. So we are definitely, the Edge of You girls definitely love Jeff, and I believe we're indebted to him for some peach cobbler.
Oh, I make a mean peach cobbler.
Yes. All right, Kat, so remind us about what's next week.
Definitely. So Monday of next week at 9 p.m., right after EdTech Chat, we will be having our hangout. So please follow EduView on Twitter, or myself, Jamie, or Kate, and we'll tweet out the link and get more information on that. And it will just be the girls talking about some of our specialties and some of the hot topics that have been going on, perhaps some of this augmented reality that's been going on Twitter as well. And then after that, we have some special guests coming in, and we will have more information about that on Monday.
All right, ladies and Jerry and behind the scenes Jeff, it has been a great evening. We are very, very excited to have had you tonight, and we look forward to seeing this app and all the great things that you do going forward.
Thank you, Jerry, so much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
I think it's wonderful what you're doing, presenting this platform for people, and because it's much needed.
Thank you. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to be able to let people tell their stories and share ideas, and our Twitter back channel was amazing tonight. In fact, Nikki just posted a picture on Twitter of you and face-to-face meetup. So very, very exciting, and we're so glad to have you. So thanks for joining us. If you're watching us live, tell your friends and share. Jeff will have us up on YouTube. I don't know. I'm going to say like in the next 5 minutes because I like to put a little pressure on him.
And please visit
Jeff.
Yeah. Visit
Jerry. Where are your crutches?
I got to crutch away and put you all on my PLN Stars page.
Oh, thank you. And visit Jerry's page, especially for pre-planning. I can just envision how amazing that would be for people. And spread it. That and TeacherCast.
Yes, teachercast.net/YouTube. There's too many dots. Let me try that again. teachercast.net/YouTube. He can edit that out. He's an editor.
Oh, he's good. He is. He's got it up.
Subscribe, and then Kat will also make sure that it's up on our Edge of You YouTube page as well.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you on the next Edge of You.
All right. Good night.
Good night, and be the change.
Don't push me away, that's rude.